Good day, everyone. Before I start, I just want to apologize for my messy look because the barbershop is still closed in our area. Anyways, let me introduce myself. My name is Ravinder Singh. I've been living in the Philippines for 23 years now. I've studied in the Technological Institute of the Philippines, or known as TIPQC, and I graduated with a degree in computer engineering. To give you an overview, we have 158 sites across the Philippines as well as data centers in our servers. So when I was a NOC support, I used to monitor all those servers to ensure maximum uptime during operations, of course, as well as after operations. And on top of that, I also provided quality assistance and support to our clients. It was through call, through email, and sometimes even remote desktop support. I also used to do ticket incident handling. So I was in the L2 operations level 2. So whenever a ticket arises in our help desk web service, we try to fix them as quickly as possible and send the ticket back for closure. And I also created technical documents. A good example of this is the the disaster recovery plan document. So it is very critical to ensure business continuity. I also created guidelines for Linux, for Windows, such as creating files, securities, policies, how to install Windows, how to install Linux, how to deploy a specific software, how to secure the firewall, how to add different ports, something like that. So all of those technical documents are for our knowledge base, so it can be used by us or even our newly hired employees to help them understand better how the operation functions. Moving on, I got promoted to a systems administrator position. So, of course, my roles and responsibilities also increased. And on top of that, I used to train the newly hired NOC supports and provide them the knowledge-based documents that I've created before when I was a NOC support. This is to help them understand better and get a clearer picture of how our operation center works and how can they fit themselves in. So when I got promoted, I managed all our remote sites across the Philippines as well as the data center. So we are using Windows as well as Linux. For Windows 2008, 2012, 2016. For Linux, these are Red Hat Enterprise Linux, RHEL, and CentOS. I think it's CentOS 6 and 7. And for our cloud, we are using Amazon Linux 2. This is the modified version of Amazon. Our data center is a hybrid, so it consists of physicals and virtual servers. For physical, we are using IBM, Dell Enterprise, and HP. For virtual, we are using VMware Technology Enterprise. So for VMware, it is using ESXi host, as a bare metal hypervisor, and all of those virtual servers, those hosts are highly available or highly redundant. So in case one goes down, another is there to help maintain the operations. And since we have 158 remote sites, I need to monitor all of those, manage, monitor, maintain. So I'm using Nagios, WhatsApp Nagios. So basically, we all have our dashboard set up. It includes the CPU, disk, memory utilizations. It also includes the network uptime, downtime, as well as the bandwidth usage. We also use WhatsApp Nagios to generate our monthly reports. So we submit this to our upper management. And for Dell servers, we are using OpenManage Dell Enterprise for managing. So all of the physical servers are in the OpenManage, so we can see the system storage, system state, if it's healthy, if it's up, if it's power on. And since we have a lot of sites, of course, we need an antivirus. So we're using Symantec Endpoint Protection Manager. Actually, I manage the enterprise software, so I use Symantec Endpoint Protection Manager to deploy push updates across all sites, to scan all those workstations, servers, to ensure all of them are virus-free. On top of that, we also use Active Directory services. So Active Directory is the core of our operations. We use it to manage the organization as a whole. Let's say setting user passwords, user-specific permissions, file permissions, group policies, and all of that. So it's basically what we use to manage the day-to-day operations. Moreover, as a systems administrator, my role is not limited to just monitoring the servers managing. I also provide quality assistance to our clients through email, call, as well as remote desktop support. Actually, it's the most used way because clients want the problem to be fixed as soon as possible. I also coordinate with our third-party clients such as IBM and Dell because when a server goes down, most likely due to power failures or hardware failures, I create tickets. I talk to our third party to ensure that the server is repaired or replaced on time. Aside from the operations environment, I also support other environments such as development environment, UAT, staging environment. So all of these environments are using Windows and Linux servers, and we deploy different applications to those servers. So mostly those are Tomcat, Apache, and also JBoss. So basically, the support we do is we have a standard policy. We have standard policies and procedures. It's what we call a technical review. So when a developer releases a software, we must ensure that all those standard policies are followed. So to give an example, the application must have an encrypted database credential. No permission is given to everyone, and not all ports are open. So all of those technical stuffs must be passed before we can deploy the software in our environments. And we must also ensure that all of those documents are signed properly in order to deploy. Moving on, we go to our cloud environment. So we actually set up our cloud environment from scratch actually. So I have a lot of knowledge in the cloud. And to give an example, you can check our public website. It's clrp.com.ph is the public website of our client, and it's actually used now by everyone in the Philippines. And so I've set up the cloud, created servers, secured those servers. So the servers are Amazon Linux too. So in order to secure them, we create securities in the Amazon console, group policies, and network access list. So in the server itself, we deploy the server in a private subnet or private IP, so it's not accessible in the public. I closed unnecessary ports in the server using firewall, IP tables, disable root access, apply necessary file permissions so that not everyone has access to the server files, and also enable key-based authentication so that we cannot use password-based authentication. Furthermore, we are using a proxy or what we call a load balancer in the cloud. So all of those traffic, the SSL, the TLS handshakes happens between the client and the load balancer. So no traffic actually goes to the server itself. So it's safe. Moving to the second question, why should we hire you? I believe I have enough experience and knowledge for this job because in the job requirements it states that we should be familiar with Linux servers and desktop, which already I am. It says you are using OpenVC and Virtuoso. I'm familiar with these technologies, but I didn't have the hands-on experience because we are not using these technologies because we are using VMware. And for second one is web hosting. I'm familiar with different environments. It's stated here that I must be familiar with shared and dedicated environments. I'm familiar with deploying software applications, web applications, Apache, Tomcat, IIS, and applying SSL certificates, HTTPS on those web servers. But the certificates I apply are mostly self-signed or used for our internal domain. So the public SSL is mostly managed by our cloud AWS. So it's a pay-to-go service actually. Third detail is about mail server administration. Actually, I forgot to mention that I also do mail server administration, but it's just for our internal domain. We are using Zimbra Mail, so I've migrated our Microsoft Exchange to the Zimbra Mail. So our Zimbra Mail is now running in Linux servers, so I do administration there. It's mostly troubleshooting server user issues such as they cannot send an email, they cannot log into the email server, mostly like that. For item number 4, database administration, I actually do database administration, but mostly basic queries for Microsoft SQL, and most of the administration is done by our database administrators. But I do handle the database servers on a system level. If there is any issue, I fix those. But mostly for the advanced stuff, it is done by our database team. I also know how to backup and restore database using the GUI part of the database actually. For scripting, I'm familiar with PowerShell and Bash scripting. For the Linux, I know Bash scripting, but mostly basic because I haven't gotten the time to make Linux scripts because most of them are already available, so I just study them. But scripting is very easy to learn because there is Google, you can look at it. You just need to study the syntax or the logic of the code to totally understand it before deploying it on servers. Lastly is networking. I'm familiar with TCP/IP, specific ports, what ports to open, to close, how to set up the IP tables. I'm also familiar with setting up OpenVPN actually. We are using OpenVPN for our cloud because all of our servers are in the private, so we need to set up an OpenVPN client to access those servers. So we are using certificate-based authentication. We need to download the certificate that we created and allow the specific subnet on it so that we can connect. I also forgot to mention my soft skills. I'm a fast learner, so whenever there is a task I do not know, I usually go to Google or my colleagues to learn faster or learn in a more efficient way. I'm also a multitasker. Since I work in an operations environment, I need to multitask, engaging calls as well as managing the servers and incident handling, all of those simultaneously. And sometimes there's even deployment during production actually, so there's that. I can also handle stress, so I can work under pressure because whenever something happens or there is a deployment, we usually need to update from time to time, and we are bombarded with calls with our project managers, so I can do that. Lastly, I have the ability to follow instructions, so this skill is very critically important, especially during deployment, because whenever we are deploying in the production environment, we need to make sure that we don't make mistakes, so we need to follow the step-by-step procedure in the documents. And whenever your boss instructs you, obviously, you need to follow the instructions, so you need to listen and deliver quality results. I think that would be everything. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you consider my applications based on what I have said in this video and make a good decision. Thank you.